equal, less than or equal. They simply consider less than, safer side. In the case of level 1, 10 to 40%. Now in the case of a PhD thesis, the candidate should be asked to submit a revised script within a period not exceeding 6 months. If it is 10 to 40%. In the case of research papers, the authors will be asked to withdraw this manuscript. There is no other alternative. Then level 2, in the case of a PhD thesis, now the candidate shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. And in the case of research papers, now shall be asked to withdraw, as in the case of a level 1, then he or she shall be denied a right to 1 annual increment. Then shall not be allowed to supervise any new masters or MPhil or PhD or students for a period of 2 years. He or she will be debarred. Level 3. Now the candidate, if it is more than 60%, the registration of the candidate will be removed, cancelled, outright. There is no opportunity to defend. Then in the case of publications, again withdrawal, then 2 annual increments are denied. Then he shall not be allowed to supervise any new or a PhD or MPhil candidates for a period of 3 years. Now, if this is continued for the second time, third time, then the regulations state that the penalty should be equal to 1 level higher than the earlier. If you had committed level 1 plagiarism in the first case, in the second case, if you commit same one, then penalty applicable for level 2 will be imposed. Now, in the case of PhD degrees already awarded, only after awarding the PhD degree, this plagiarism came to the light. Then the degree should be kept in abeyance till the investigation is complete. In the case of a publication of a research paper, already published, only after the publication it came to the light, then it should also be kept in abeyance, not considered for any other promotional activities. Friends, this is repeated, then right, degree awarded, right. Now if there is a complaint against the member of the panel, departmental level academic integrity panel comprises of 3 to 4 members, and the institutional level academic integrity panel comprises of 4 to 5 members. If there is any complaint of a plagiarism against any of these members, then the same procedure will apply, and he should not be allowed to attend the meetings of the committees of the panel which investigate his own case. So the regulations are very clear to bring even the higher officials into the clutches of its regulations. Nobody can be excluded. Right. Now this is the summary of the regulations. Now let me come to some of the dark sides of this plagiarism. Dark sides in the sense, where the plagiarism detection tool misleads, gives a wrong report about the similarity. Right. So there are 5 or 6 examples. All are based on the experience. Now we have this less than or equal to 10%. There are two exceptions to this, because some institutions, some publishers insist that the percentage of a similarity should be less than 5%. Less than. And the UGC gives up to 10%. Whereas a few journals and institutions put 5% as the maximum. And UGC permits these institutions and the publishers because it is in the direction of strengthening, not diluting. If any university keeps 20% as the permissible, it will not allow. If it is less than 10%, 8%, 9%, 7%, it encourages because it is in the direction of strengthening honesty in the research and the publications. This is one. The second thing is, now some institutions and some publishers insist that not more than 1% similarity shall be from the same source. Say for example, you have less than 10%. Out of 10%, you have copied 8% from another research paper already published. Only from one research paper, you have copied 8%. So not to exceed 1% from the same source. You can have from many sources, but it should be less than or equal to 1%, not more than 1. Now these two are in the direction of strengthening the UGC regulations. Okay. Now the second one, let me go to the second important aspect, exclusion. Remember, the UGC regulations exclude common knowledge words and also 14 words used consecutively. You can use up to 14 words from other words consecutively. So it is not considered as plagiarism. But look at this. Here, this source excluded less than or equal to 14%, 14 words. Okay? This is in accordance with the UGC regulation. But this plagiarism detection tool, of course, different universities use different tools. Some use even Turnitin, or some others use, I think earlier we had another one, Urkur, right? So we have. Now this till bit has not excluded. See here, it is not excluded. When it is not excluded, even if you are in your research paper, if you say, Mr. Siddaramaiah is the Chief Minister of Karnataka, it shows 100% plagiarism. Now, the detection tool should be adjusted to exclude 14 consecutive words from plagiarism. Otherwise, you will get high. See here, it is specifically mentioned as per UGC regulations. But this institution, which is using a drill bit for checking the degree of a plagiarism, has not incorporated this. Therefore, the report has not excluded, which is not correct. Therefore, we will find a lot of problems. So this is one. Now the second one, look at this, last one, excluded phrases. Phrase. Now UGC regulation is very clear to exclude these phrases. But till bit has not excluded. When it is not, even if you say, for example, Karnataka State Finance Corporation. Now, many have worked on this. Even State Bank of India, HDFC, many have worked. They use the same, State Bank of India. There is no alternative. Still, now all other researchers will get 100% plagiarism for this. SBI, State Bank of India, it shows it has plagiarism. Therefore, now the system should be inbuilt to exclude both the 14 consecutive words and phrases. This is the second important aspect. And friends, look at this. See, the management of, see here, when you upload your paper or the thesis, you get a comprehensive report. The comprehensive report provides both the overall percentage of similarity, like this. Look at this. Similarity is 9%. Overall percentage. It also provides source wise. Look at this. Now in the first case it is less than 1%. In the second case it is 1%. Third 1%. Like this. Both the overall and the source wise percentages are given in the report. And the report also provides your own thesis with marking. Mark representing the copied one. Say for example, now here look at this, scheduled commercial banks. Now more than 1,000 researchers have worked on scheduled commercial banks in India. And there is no substitute for this. You cannot have any different ones. Still, it considered this as copied. Even the abbreviations, SCBs, it is considered as copied. Then, look at this. The Reserve Bank of India, of course, you can use subsequently Apex Bank of the country. But for the first time, you should use Reserve Bank of India. It is not a copy. It is not a plagiarism. Still, the plagiarism detection tool states this as plagiarism. And then look at this. Developments or progress. So sometimes we use this. This is not a problem. But still it is considered as plagiarism. Then expected credit loss. Now recently the Reserve Bank of India has come out with a proposal to instruct all banking companies, to begin with scheduled commercial banks, to use expected credit loss for the purpose of creating a provisioning for loan losses. Expected credit loss, and there is no other substitute for this. Still it is considered as plagiarism. Similarly, we have this making adequate provisions, creating adequate. You can use one or two, that's all. Other researchers might have already used alternatives also. So you will get this. See, working group, the name of the committee, You cannot change the name of the committee. Still you will get this. And see here, the country advised all commercial banks, all are copied. And most importantly, if you have published one research paper in a reputed journal, if you publish one more, in the second case, your name and address will be considered as plagiarism. So this is the truth. And what is the substitute for your name and address? I do not know. So think about all. Similarly, you will get this type of report. For the entire report, it will show this type of marking, showing where you have copied. And it also shows the source from which you have copied. Say for example, here we have 29, superscript, 29. That means, now it mentions here sources, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. If you go to source number 29, you will get exact source from which you have copied this. So this is about the third important aspect, phrases. Then, of course I have already explained this. Then, another important thing is students' project reports. Of course, nowadays it is horrible. It is only to make the computer people richer and richer. And sometimes the computer operator will give you the report as a binded report. You have to pay only that sum. Of course, it is true even in the cases of PhD thesis. In some cases, let us not bother about this. But the thing is, when the UGC regulations specifically excludes students' project reports, why do certain institutions bring the students' projects within the scope of a plagiarism? Of course, it is good because we can cultivate the habit of honesty among the students' community. This is good. But in certain cases, it is misused. Therefore, it is both admissible and not admissible. Friends, let me go to another thesis. Thesis which I guided, thesis on which I got the comprehensive plagiarism report. Okay? So the thesis was of 475 pages. 475. Pakka. Without unnecessary space between one paragraph and another. Pakka 475. When it was published, now even the book, number of pages in the book also came to around 400 pages. Pakka. So when the thesis was finalized, it was uploaded to the plagiarism detection tool. Usually, it takes 5 to 10 minutes time to give the report. But in this case, we did not get the report even after waiting for 1 full day. Then we approached the service provider who is in another country. Then he advised us to split this thesis into 2 parts.